Hey, tell me when we start the podcast.
All right, what?
Okay.
What?
Are we
Oh,
live? Oh,
yeah, we're
What?
live. We're live.
hold on. Hey, sorry. Just playing
Wow.
Immortal.
Well, welcome. Episode 126.
126.
Are we switching roles? Woo!
Oh,
This one.
episode 126.
This is the one.
This is it?
This is a big one.
This is a big
Some
one.
things happen. So last week was juicy too, right? We had this Diablo 4 quarterly update like dropped on us basically the day of the podcast.
I know.
And now, well, I mean, kind of, let's give the full story, right? So a little bit late last week, we kind of got the CM slid into our DMs and they're like,
CM's
hey,
the DM?
we want to talk to you about something. And we got like basically an invite on the day that went live on Thursday. And Diablo Immortal this whole time. Who knew?
Immortals. It's cool, man. It's been an interesting.
I didn't ask for your review.
I'm not giving a review yet. It's been an interesting thing. It was not as much prep time as it would have been nice. I was just like I was kind of scrambling to like how the hell do I stream my phone?
Listen,
I don't even know how to do it, man.
Listen, did you ever think in the history of your streaming career that you would be frantically Googling how to stream from your phone and set up a phone scene in OBS? That was
not at all. And that's the truth.
Challenge.
That's exactly what I did. I'm like Googling like how do I stream my phone? And there's like some 14-year-old, 12, 13-year-old kid like, hey guys, what you gotta do is like has no idea. Like he is giving legitimate guidance, but really doesn't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, next.
There's so many videos. I'm like, oh, just download this app. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's like, and there's just questions that I want to answer. Is like, if I get a lightning cable to HDMI, can I screen mirror everything or not? Like, that's the only answer I want. Like, can I get that or no? Yes or no? Yeah.
It's just like everybody's like, well, maybe. I'm like,
right. Yeah. So like, I immediately went out to Best Buy as fast as I could, got myself a little cable, which is, I'll just show you. It's one of like these little things.
Yeah, I have one of those. I think on a shelf over there that I haven't boxed up. But I actually forgot I had it until I was already streaming Immortal. I was doing it with a mirroring solution. Like I basically turned my PC into an AirPlay mirror, and then I could just AirPlay to my PC.
Yeah, and
that works pretty good. It's not bad. My Wi-Fi setup and my network is really good. I'm sitting an inch from AC router, so it's pretty damn quick. And so it works, but then I'm like, I was sitting there playing. I'm like, wait a minute, don't I have that adapter on the shelf over there? I've never used. It's like I'm looking at it right now, and a brand new, and it's got plastic on it still.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was interesting. And then, of course, I had already committed to raiding in WoW that night. Like when it went live, I had committed to raid. So it's just like you can't be on I committed to this raid team, and I can't screw them over on the first week and be like, hey guys, can't raid tonight because
of stuff.
Because of stuff. And they're like, wait, because of what? You know what I mean? But you're still streaming. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was tough for me because I immediately expected there to be just like constant spam of almost toxicity, right? Because there is a lot of negativity surrounding Immortal, especially in my stream of all streams because of all the things in the history. And so I had to like warn my moderators like, hey, I need you guys to be around tonight. And they're like, why? I'm like, I can't tell you anything. You'll know why when you see it.
Yeah.
So
was it bad for you?
Honestly, there's been some like people that pop in and say some toxic stuff or like, that I'm a shill because I am playing the game that, they say I talk shit on it, but all I did was ask a question at BlizzCon if it's coming to PC. Like, still at the end of the day, people think that like I was so negative on the game, but
they think you're the red shirt guy,
right? They think I'm the April Fool's joke.
You asked the question and you didn't,
right?
Yeah. So it wasn't too bad in mine. There was a little bit too, but I think a lot of the gameplay spoke for itself. Some people got to see what it was.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I think that people are genuinely curious, right? Even if they were like, ugh. Like no one liked the announcement, but I think people are genuinely curious about
I agree.
If it's good.
Yeah, for sure.
So
let's hit the poll from last week.
Yeah.
Let's we got to get to the polls. Gotta pay the tuition.
Yeah, so the last week we asked kind of an interesting poll. So do you want to see classes with guns / technology in Diablo 4?
Mm-hmm. Man, I'm on the fence. I think it's a really cool thing. I don't know if it fits in Diablo's universe. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fit the theme very well, but I do think it's really cool, and you could maybe mold Demon Hunter to fit that somewhat, slightly. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah,
I don't think it really fits D4
thematically. Yeah, I don't think that it does fit. However,
it's cool as shit.
Right. I played the Devil Hunter in Lost Ark, and that's a super fun class, and it's all about guns and switching between like a shotgun and a pistol and a sniper rifle. It feels pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think in Diablo it necessarily works. And definitely, there's that new class that we talked about, gosh, like half a year ago now. That's like the Iron Man, basically.
Yeah,
like, that would never ever work in Diablo.
It's so cool. Though,
yeah, it is cool
because it's so cool. So part of me wants to be like, yeah, because of the shit that they could do with it, like they could all the skills and abilities and stuff they could pull off. But from a lore thematic standpoint, I don't think it would fit. So I'm gonna have to vote no, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think no, thematically it just doesn't fit. Wow. This is one-sided.
Yeah.
We usually get a pretty split, especially the last year or so, suspiciously split.
Suspiciously. That's funny. Yeah, cool.
Most people agree. No guns.
It doesn't fit.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
And then the next poll is something we're going to talk about. Something we've been spitting around the chat after playing, Immortal a lot, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
If Diablo Immortal had a pay-to-play server for $24.99, or you couldn't purchase any pay-to-win microtransactions, would you do it? Hell yes or nope? So that'll be next week. But we're going to talk about it a little bit today on stream. But yeah, so Diablo Immortal launched.
It dropped.
It dropped.
Hit.
What? Tell me about night one experience. What happened? What'd you create?
So I rolled Wiz. Okay. I rolled Wiz night one. I thought initially. Well, so let me go through my install experience first. I'm gonna backtrack even a little bit.
Okay.
So I get the invite, right? And I'm like, oh, dope. I'm gonna set this up. And so my initial reaction is, I love my iPad mini. I think it's the perfect size for playing games on. That's honestly, kind of what I use it for, but I don't use it. It just sits on a shelf. But I have an iPad mini 4, and I'm like, I'm going to install it on this first because this thing is the perfect size for playing Diablo Immortal. I think it'll be great. So I go and I start to install it, and this is a alpha app, so you can't just get it from the App Store. You have to go through this process to get it of installing another app and then downloading it from there. And so when I started to download it, it goes through the thing, and it gets almost all the way finished, and then it's out of storage. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay. So I go and I check the storage, and you don't know how much you need. It never tells you how much storage you have to have. So I go through and I just start deleting all shit off my iPad, which that sucks in itself. Because I'm like, man, I don't want to delete all these apps, but I'm going through and getting rid of shit that I use. So I freed up enough, and then I try to install it, and it's still full. So I had to delete the install that I had and then start over because there was 10 gigs free. I'm like, I know there's enough. So it kind of just bugged out for whatever reason. So I go and I install it, and I'm like, cool. And it takes forever for some reason for it to install. But I finally get it installed, and I fire the game up, and then it runs like shit. I mean, it runs horrible on my iPad mini 4. I'm 10 FPS. I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. It is a 5-year-old device. I think they came out in 2015. So I'm like, that's unfortunate. It's only one generation behind. I think the 5 is the newest one. So I'm like, all right, well, let me try. I have an iPad Air 2. I'm like, well, let me try this other iPad because I don't want to hold my phone. I'd rather play on a bigger screen. So I grabbed that iPad. Same process, out of storage. Got to delete shit, get it installed. I fire it up, and it's the same. It's a little bit better frames than the other one, but still like not good in my opinion. I'm like, this isn't going to happen. So I throw that down, and then my daughter has an iPad 7th gen, which I think is the second newest. I think the 8th gen is the newest one right now. So I grab hers, and I'm like, hey, can I borrow your iPad for a little bit? I'm gonna see if I can play this game. She's like, yeah, she was cool. So I grab it, and I throw it on there, and I start to play, and it actually plays okay on her 7th gen. It plays okay, but not the best, but it's playable. And then so finally I'm like, you know what? This isn't perfect. Fuck it. I'm just going to throw it on my phone. So then I didn't have any storage on my phone, right? I have pictures from like 2013 on my phone. Like every new phone I get, I just, copy them over. And so I had no storage. So I go through and I had to back up my phone. I did all this shit just to get the game on the device to make it playable. So then it does play on the phone good, but then I had already seen it on an iPad, and I actually prefer the iPad screen size quite a bit. And I'm like, man, this sucks. I wish I had. So it makes me want a more powerful iPad mini, honestly, which I don't even think they make one.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. Like, I had kind of asked some people that I played Immortal, and I was like, what do you think the best device is? And they said, oh, yeah, iPad mini is probably one of the best ones because a tablet, like, is kind of heavy. And phone's like maybe too small, but iPad mini was like great. And I was like, oh, that's great. And so I started looking at buying one, and then I looked at the specs and I was like, I don't even know that this could like run the high FPS version of the game.
I don't think it could. Like I said, I have a 4, and I think the newest is a 5, and my 4 wouldn't play it. I mean, it was like 10 FPS. It was so bad, like you wouldn't play on that shit. Like nobody would probably play on that. So I don't know how much more powerful the 5 is over the 4. I honestly though, it's the perfect size to play the game. If somebody were like, what? Because I've tried 4 different screen sizes between my iPhone. I have an iPhone 11 base, which isn't a super nice phone. It's just a standard phone, and then which it runs great on, and then the mini, and then 2 different iPad sizes. The mini is my favorite of all the screen sizes. So if they make a more powerful iPad mini someday, that would be ideal. But hopefully they can optimize the game, and like I would drop graphical settings or graphical fidelity to play on the mini. I feel like I think it would be worth it if they could figure out ways to do it to make it happen. I think I would probably still do that. So hopefully
I would. Because here's one of the things that I didn't know. So the whole entire day one, I played on like ultra settings. But when I went to enable the high FPS, it was like, wait, this can like be damaging. It's like it drains your battery, and
yeah, I did that. It was fine on my 11.
Right. And so I was like, oh wait, whoa, like I should not. And so I didn't enable it like the whole first day. So I played 11 hours without it.
Turn that shit on. It's crazy once you turn it on.
Yeah, and then the second day I turned it on, I was like, holy shit. Like, this is so much better.
So I don't know and I know there's some Android devices that run at 120 FPS monitor. They have 120 hertz monitors on them. I think iPhones inherently are 60. I think they're all 60. I could be wrong about that, but I know that my 11 is at least 60. And so in my opinion, it looks like the game runs at 30 frames in low FPS mode and 60 frames at high FPS mode. And if you're a gamer, you notice that shit. So I turned high FPS mode on within the first 5 or 10 minutes of playing the game. And then as soon as I flipped it, I was like, oh, yep, this is it. But it's crazy the difference that maybe the power is that much different in these newer devices. Like I said, I don't have an 11 Pro. I know you got a 12, right?
No, I got 11 Pro.
We get 11 Pro, but your 11 Pro has a faster processor than my 11, right?
Yeah.
And so the 11 runs at buttery smooth, high FPS mode, everything great. And the iPad Mini 4 on low FPS mode with low graphic settings was like 10 frames. The iPad Air 2, same thing. So it's like, I guess technology has come along that far, or maybe it's just not optimized. But again, I would love to play it on that larger screen, hopefully someday. So I don't know. Eventually I'll just get a new iPad Mini, but I wouldn't buy one specifically for the game. I think I'd just keep playing on my phone. You know? So
agreed.
But that being said, after all that fiasco, and I jumped in the game, and I think that's going to be a problem for people. I think if the game has and it's interesting because this is kind of newer territory for me. I've never seen mobile game that wouldn't run on a device. Like normally, if there's a game you can throw it on and play. Like I never tried to play Fortnite or Call of Duty mobile or any of those things, and maybe they're the same, but This is the first game I've had where it's like, oh, it doesn't run on my iPad. Okay, that's interesting, you know. And I think people are going to be in that boat. There's probably a lot of people out there that still have some older model iPhones that are holding off on upgrade. I mean, shit, phones are expensive, man.
Yeah, they are.
So, like a PS5 is $500. A new iPhone, $1,200.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's a hefty investment.
And I was looking at iPad Pro.
Gaming PC.
Right. I was looking at iPad Pro. I was like, man, it'd be really nice to find a big screen. Like maybe I'll just pull the trigger and get an iPad Pro. But it's like, man, I really have zero use for an iPad. Like I have no tablet in my life right now. I don't feel like I need one. I don't even know what I would use one for.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I have 3 and I don't even use them. Like I use my phone 99% of the time if I want that style of device. Like usually if I'm walking around the house, the phone's in my pocket. If I have a question or I want to Google something or look, you know, I need to get on Amazon app or Target app or whatever app I'm pulling out, it's like it's already on my phone in my pocket. And so my tablet sits on my nightstand next to my bed and I use it like once a week, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if that, it's like it's an expensive purchase. And what were the new iPads? What did they cost? Did you look them up?
Like for the low memory one, it was like $899, $999, somewhere in there.
Almost $1,000.
Yeah.
That's like you could literally spend $1,200 and get a gaming machine.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be insane, but it would be a gaming machine that could play every game. You know what I mean? At least at 1080p.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man. It's crazy about the amount of money. So we fired it up and I made a whiz. I knew that you had made Barb already, so I didn't want to play the same class as you, so I made a wizard. I haven't got as much time to play as I hoped I would. This was kind of like really bad timing for the launch for me personally because I had Christmas stuff I had to do all weekend with families, and I had to do some shopping to do, and my wife and I have some other ventures that we're trying to do during the day and stuff. So but I've got maybe like 7 or 8 hours in the game so far. And it's time went by quick when I was playing, you know what I mean? So it went by really fast when I was playing and I had a good time. So we started pew-pewing the things. Tell me about was your install experience smoother than mine? Did you already have the room on your phone and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I clear out my phone regularly, like before I go on vacations, because I use my phone for video a lot. And so I want to make sure I've got all the space for, you know, capturing video when I go on trips. And so I always regularly just kind of clean it off. And so I had it's only 5 gigs. So I had more than ample space to download the game. But we don't know what the size, but people keep asking, right? What's the size of the game? It's about 5 gigs now, but it's not the full game. So
this is just alpha.
Right.
So I would expect it to be bigger.
Right.
I think most baseline phones are going to be 64 gigs these days. I don't know if they sell many that are below that. That's kind of like your entry point. So you should be okay. I don't know what the current tablets are going. I don't even know anything about Samsung tablets. Like I'm a Apple ecosystem, and people love to hate on Apple for whatever reason it is, but it's like that's just the ecosystem I've been in since the original iPhone. I've had Apple product. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not like, yo, you should go buy their stuff only. I don't care what you buy personally, but that's just been the ecosystem I've been in. And
I had a Windows phone of money, man, for like a week. It was like before I got an iPhone 7, I was like, there's a new Windows phone that had like the best camera on it. So I was like, I'm gonna get that one because all I really want a phone for is like good video. And so I went and bought it and like started installing apps, and you know quickly realized a Windows doesn't have many apps, and like even my banking app like didn't work. So I was like, man, like I'm monopolized into getting another iPhone. It's crazy,
right? Yeah. So who would have thought, man? 3 years into the podcast, we'd be sitting here talking about cell phones and what you should buy to play a Diablo game. You know
I'm the same boat as you. Like, what the hell is even the most up to date tablet? Like, I have no clue because that's just not my universe.
I mean, obviously, the latest gen iPad could play the game, I would imagine, pretty well. Because I guarantee you it would be okay. Because my daughter's 7th gen played it okay. You know what I mean? So I know the 8th gen would be fine, I'm sure. And I'm sure the Pro would. But those are overkill. I think the Mini, holding off for the next generation Mini would probably be ideal, in my opinion. But it's still, I mean, I think those things still go for $400 or $500 baseline when they come out, and it's like that's a fucking console, man. That's a PS5, that's a Switch. That's an Xbox. Speaking of Switch, we're going to talk about that later on too, because man. But as far as the game goes, let's talk about a little bit of the game though. What was your initial thoughts when you started playing? Like what, how
Honestly,
did you feel?
I had a really difficult time seeing for a really long time. I still have that problem sometimes. I think a lot of it, I played for that 11-hour stream, and I was struggling. I was really struggling to see my screen. And then I went home, or I didn't go home. I went to bed, and then the next morning I woke up and I just fired it up from my bedroom. I was like, oh man, this is like, I can see this so much better. So I think it's just like
the lights
and all that. It was just really, it just makes it really hard to see. So I got in the practice of like, I turn off my monitor, I dim the light that's ahead, and it's better now. But obviously sitting here in this chair, like, looking down. It's like looks weird because I'm like this, on screen in my camera, and then you're like this.
I found that I just like lowered my chair a little bit and I scooted way up, so my desk is like touching my belly almost, and then I could put my elbows on the desk and I could hold the phone, and then at least I can kind of keep my neck straight.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue, honestly, okay, so when you're holding it, like I was playing like this, right? So the power cable that I have runs and it plugs in right here, and it rests in between
my
your
fingers,
finger and your middle finger. And like that becomes uncomfortable as hell. And like you can't play without it though. You can't play without it plugged in because your battery just goes dead instantly.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I don't, that's an issue to me, man. And like this is the biggest hang up I have with the game. I think the game from a graphical standpoint for a mobile game is fantastic. I think it's probably one of the better looking games I've ever played on mobile. And this is still the alpha, so like this could even get better in the future, especially as devices get more powerful too. I think that from a gameplay standpoint, as far as mobile controls go, they nailed it. However, it's still mobile controls. You're still using virtual buttons, and virtual buttons are never going to have the same feedback as like a physical button. Looking for the video thing, aren't you?
Yeah, the VOD. They moved it.
Yeah, you're live right now, so it's really hard. You have to type /video at the end of your thing, I think.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah, they kind of like hit it.
Okay. I was just gonna like pull up some gameplay.
That might work. It's like videos or video. There's a way you can direct. There it is.
Interesting. Anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
No, I knew what you were doing. So I had the same problem. It's I don't know, man. The virtual buttons kind of suck. That's not fun. But they did it as good as I think you can. And this other games have had virtual buttons that mimic this system. I think it's a very tried and true system with the placement using the skills and being able to aim them. There's like a little micro delay, it feels like to me, before it decides like, hey, you're gonna aim this. It's not, because it auto aims at the closest enemy if you just press the skill, right? But if you want to aim, at least for Wizard, if I want to aim my fireball, I can manually aim it wherever I want by sliding my finger around. And like sometimes I feel like there's like a microsecond on that before it realizes, oh, hey, he wants to aim this. Like, let's move it. And it feels weird. I hate virtual buttons, man. I like a physical button in my hand. So it needs controller support at minimum. If they added controller, there are mobile phone controllers. You can actually Bluetooth a PlayStation controller or Xbox controller to an iPhone. Android phones, Razer makes a bunch of products for Razer phones. So I hope someday they could get controller support at minimum. That would be fantastic.
Man, for some reason, I don't know. This like playback is really weird. It's like lagging. Anyways. Sorry. All right.
Yeah, no, you're good. Don't worry. So that's kind of like my initial reaction, my initial thoughts on like jumping in and playing the game. I think it sucked holding the phone. Other than that, the biggest downside are things that aren't in Blizzard's control to make it better. They can't get physical buttons because your phones don't have them, and they can't make the power cable not rest on your fingers. Like that's just phone design.
True.
I don't know how they.
I wonder, like, do controllers like reroute your charging ability? I would think like a Bluetooth controller you could connect to your phone. Maybe I have no idea, but
I would think whatever device you buy the controller for, if it's designed for it, you could plug it in and it would have an option to still plug in. Or, be designed, or if it's Bluetooth, then you can just plug it in and set it on a base and then hold the controller.
Yeah. So okay, so you created a wizard. What do you think about like playing? You know, the story takes place between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. What
There's a
did you?
story.
Shut up! I know you like the story,
No, man.
sir.
I honestly, okay. So I didn't really care about the story. I don't really care about Diablo 3's story either. Like I know, and that sounds really bad, and I know a lot of people worked hard on the story, but I don't care about the story. I didn't really pay hardly any attention to it. The story starts off, you sail, you're on a boat and you go to a town for whatever reason. I don't even know what the reason was. And then they're like, "Oh, help us save things." And then like instantly you're just on this adventure, saving shit and killing bad guys.
Yeah.
And like that's really all I know about the story. Um, so that's kind of it. It was, I guess, cool to see Deckard. Maybe if you cared about that, didn't really care too much. I mean, did you pay attention to any of the story?
I mean, I started like at the start of the game. I was watching the cutscenes to like I don't know because I know the Diablo story.
Yeah.
I don't know that I care for it more than any other story. I guess if I had to watch any story, it would be the Diablo one. But I was watching the cutscenes, and I think because it's alpha at the very start of the game, it was pretty. There's a lot of voice acting, and there's a lot of cutscenes, and it was clean. But the later in the campaign you get, and again, I'm sure because it's alpha, like that all stops, and then it's just like, well, I don't want to just sit here and read out loud to the stream, so like I'll just do what I wanted to do originally and just skip everything.
Right.
And so I just ended up doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I didn't pay a lot of attention to the story either, honestly. I think I had more fun playing with the abilities and kind of seeing what they were going to do and what combinations I wanted and things like that. There were some gaps between abilities. Like you didn't get, I think I got something at 18 and then my next upgrade was at like 26 or something like that. So there was a little gap in between that.
Yeah.
But that kind of, I don't know, that kind of sucked to have to wait that long to get things. There's no runes on the abilities, so when they upgrade, they just either get a new power or they don't. There's not a lot of selection there. So the depth seemed a little bit lower on that.
Sure.
Tell me about some of this end game stuff that you've gotten into. I haven't gotten into the challenge rift stuff at all yet. So, and I see that you've been pushing the challenge rifts.
Yeah.
Pretty hard,
So once you get to the end
like a
game,
new greater rift, it looks like.
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird. So there's Elder Rifts and Challenge Rifts. And Elder Rifts are kind of like what you would think of as speed farming greater rifts in Diablo 3. It's just like they're super cheese, really easy. You can add modifiers to them through crests, but they're so easy that you don't even notice that you've added a modifier to it,
Yeah.
And you can add legendary crests to them, and like you can make sure that it drops like a legendary gem every time, and it makes it feel like really rewarding, even though it's really easy. And then there's the challenge rift, which is kind of what you think of in Diablo 3 as like a greater rift push.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of climb the challenge rift leaderboard, and you're pushing literally much. I mean, it's exactly like you would push in Diablo 3. I'm playing Whirlwind, and I am actually bleeding and doing Whirlwind and just gathering giant packs of density. Like I'm playing Whirlwind just like I would push.
Yeah.
Whirlwind.
So how does it make you feel though? Is it good or bad? Like, I mean, we've done that for a long time, but is it so? That's kind of the thing. Is like I've seen you. I've lurked a little bit, and I've watched you do some of these pushes, and it looks fun. It looks like it's engaging.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like we've done a lot of this, man. How long is this going to be fun and stay engaging?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good call. The biggest point of feedback I give D3 or D4 and Immortals, like stop reusing skills, please. I don't want to use the same skills I've been using for 10 years plus. So I honestly hate running Whirlwind. It's just, all the items I keep getting and keep pointing me to how, good Whirlwind is. And Whirlwind does seem kind of like mandatory on the bar for Diablo Immortal at this point. I don't have any other legendaries that are kind of aiming me away from going that route. But yeah, so like, pushing feels good because it is competitive. There's no bots. Maintaining rank 1.
Right. Yeah, there's no bots yet.
So it's more interesting because than even maybe Diablo 3 after 3 weeks, because
how much
if I get beat, it's real.
Raw fun are you having? Like, are you like This is good. Like you're thinking about it off stream. Are you playing it off stream? Is it more the competitive thing, or is the game fun enough to keep you just like, all right?
I think the game's fun, but let me, I guess, describe the end game kind of loop right now. So, granted, the focus of this alpha is about, the leveling process, I guess, which I didn't even know. So I'm like grinding the end game and giving feedback on the end game. And they're like, that's not even what this alpha is about. I'm like, oh, well, you invited me. You knew I was going to do that. So, yeah. And so like what you basically do is, so there's daily activities. There's daily bounties that you do. So you can do 12 bounties a day, which are kind of like go to a zone and kill 60 things or gather 15 things. It's kind of like more like a daily in World of Warcraft, I guess.
Wow. Yeah. Than
it is bounty from Diablo 3. But you do those, and those are somewhat rewarding. You get crests, I think, every day, or you get currency to buy crests every day. And so you run your Elder Rifts fully crested. And you beat all those, and then you kind of just either one you farm basically your bestiary. I don't know if you've unlocked that yet, but yeah. So like you get monster essence sometimes when you kill things, and after you get 10 of those, you level up your bestiary. But you can only do that 3 times a day, and that gives you life and power. There's this event I'm actually about to go to in the background right now that once every 3 hours, it's a PvP event, which is it's a BR. It's a BR, bro. So everyone goes into the zone, and then when the thing goes up, it's like a PvP event. And basically whoever wins gets basically a guaranteed legendary, which is like really valuable in this game because legendaries are very quite rare.
Yeah, they are.
The Diablo Immortal. The problem is obviously there's not a ton of people playing right now. So you just like group up and then you get the chest. Like I think I've killed like 2 people.
Oh, so like you guys are all in the group, nobody else shows up, and you just get the loot.
You just get the loot. And then someone sees it, they're like,
just drop group and just smash.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think it'd be so much more interesting as like a FFA, and the top 4 people get rewards instead of you can just group up but it's interesting nonetheless.
They're all chilling right before it starts. You just like leave group, smash.
I'll have to do that sometime.
That'd be fantastic, man.
So that's interesting. And then every zone has kind of that special, unique factor to it, like some kind of repeatable thing that happens, like an event that happens and stuff like that. So that's interesting. Going into zones and actually just grinding and killing mobs is actually really rewarding. It's one of the better things you can actually do in this game, is just to explore and kill. But there's one thing in the game in particular that's just better than everything else by a landslide, which is Countess. You just farm the Countess dungeon basically nonstop. And so that has been basically what I've done for, outside of the daily stuff for 10 hours plus a day, which, I mean, it's brand new. So it's exciting being rank 1 and doing that. But, there's no way I could continue to do this for days,
for
weeks,
months, years. Yeah.
So there's that. Again, it's alpha, so we don't know all the things, but I think that it's pretty clear they're going to add more stuff later on. But the game in its core right now, I think that you're meant to just grind on Elder Rifts like you would in Diablo 3, but they're like kind of worthless unless you have a bunch of crests, and you run out of crests like really fast. And that leads us into the pay to win aspect, right? So
that's exactly where I was going to go, but.
With Elder Rifts in particular, you can buy what's called legendary crests, and legendary crests give you the opportunity to basically get a 100% guaranteed legendary gem at the end of every Elder Rift run, which is really big because you can use, not only are legendary gems super powerful and they're mandatory on all 6 of your primary armor slots, but they increase the potency of the gear you put them in, on top of having a cool effect themselves. So they're really, really strong.
Right.
And if you can keep grinding them, you can keep ranking up your legendary gem, which would effectively give you a lot of power. Oh. And so that's one of the things you can buy is the legendary crest. There's other things as well, but I think that one in particular is the most impactful, which is why I asked that question, if you could make this game pay to play and then kind of cancel out all of that, then would you do it? Would you do it, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on how much I played. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's gonna be the big sell is this something I'm gonna invest a lot of hours into? Um, and that's the question I don't necessarily have the answer to yet. I mean, I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's good. But when I sit there and I evaluate my time, it's like, okay, if I have free time, I have 2 hours of gaming. Am I gonna play Diablo Immortal? Am I gonna go play Diablo 3, World of Warcraft, or all these other games that we could name off? Is it gonna pull me away? It's a fun game and it's really good on the road, or away from places, but it's not a PC game. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? To me. And I think that's the difference. So and I'm dancing around this very delicately because I don't want to sound negative because I do think it's a fabulous game. I don't think from my experience in Immortal has been a good time, and time went by very fast, which is usually a good sign that it's a good game. I played it the first night for 4 hours straight, and it was like that 4 hours was just boom, it just went by.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. But I think ultimately when I look at it, how much am I going to play this? Especially if I'm giving a big block of window, an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours. Am I going to go knock out some mythics in WoW, or am I going to be like, yeah, I'm going to play Immortal instead? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to pull me away. So that is going to depict how much money I'm going to spend on it. And I could fall into the category of one of the guys that just plays the game for free. You know what I mean? I'm just,
Yeah.
hey, I get on, I grind, I do my things, I don't spend any money, and I don't complain that other people do. If I were a hardcore player, though, I think absolutely I would play on the pay server that has no microtransactions.
Yeah.
I think ultimately, if you're into the game, that would be the way for me to play it. But if they added that feature, would you feel compelled to have to do that? You're like every time you play and you don't do that, you're gonna be like, man, fuck, I should re-roll on that
I don't know. It
paid
is
server.
very niche because, it's just for the people that want to have that true competition in the game, basically. So yeah, I don't know. But I will say I asked that question. So Blizzard had a AMA and their Diablo Immortal Discord for some of us content creators. We got to ask questions, and so I of course asked that question: would Blizzard ever kind of consider, kind of splitting it up, like having a pay to play server with no pay to win? And basically, they said no. Let's see if I could pull up the exact response.
Docs.
Right.
While you're pulling that up, I'll talk about the dungeon aspect. Well, I guess I need to bounce questions off you, and you're looking though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. So yeah, here we go. So Wyatt responded and said, "Hey, Fluffy, we really want to introduce Diablo as to as many players as we can around the world, and we believe the best way to do that is with a free-to-play game," which I totally agree with. I think I
agree too. Yeah. I think that was the play.
It's also important for us to make one shared experience and not split up the community, which I get. I was watching your stream when you were pushing the challenge rifts, and I know the concern you brought up is that it wouldn't be as enjoyable for you when the crests are ultimately purchasable in the future. In that regard, I think it's important to note that challenge rifts are not going to be the ultimate end game. The greater rifts are in D3. I don't want to spoil anything right now, but I will say it includes both PvE content and activities for larger groups of players. Congrats on getting rank 1. Yeah, sounds like.
That's what I take that as.
Yeah.
So that's really cool feedback, and I guess the thing that makes me feel semi good about that is I honestly feel like there's not anybody better than Wyatt that could be just steering the ship. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's gonna get pressure from Activision and Blizzard and whoever. Like this thing's got to make money, right? That's the end game for the shareholders. That's the end game for the people. It's like this is gonna make us money. If it doesn't make us money, we're not gonna support it. We're not gonna produce it, right? So they got to make money. Monetization has to be in the game. I think anybody that sits out there and thinks that this game's not going to make money is ridiculous. Like that's the whole point of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to monetize it. There just has to be a line of monetization that's acceptable and isn't pay to power. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't want pay to win. We don't want pay to power. Pay to cosmetic has seemingly been pretty acceptable in community's eyes for a long time. But mobile's a different thing, man. And I hope with the end games that there's not pay to power. But like you're saying, the way it's sitting right now, it looks like there is a little pay to power in there. There's definitely a pay to progress with that at minimum, you know.
And I appreciate the response, right? Like it's exciting to hear that there's going to be much broader end game activities to do, and it's not going to be challengers aren't the end game, the ultimate end game. But it is definitely a competitive aspect of the game, which is a big reason I play games. I know it's a big reason a lot of other people play games. And that's the more alarming part to me, is that it's not only a massive advantage to be able to buy legendary crests and to power up your character and ultimately basically win the leaderboard, but that's going to apply to all aspects of the game. If you can, buy legendary crests and power up your gems, like you're going to be able to do all the other things better than someone that doesn't pay to win. So I think it's definitely alarming. And, again, but this is the thing, right? This only applies to those of us that are crazy competitive or that want to play the game for that reason. If you're just like a person that like wants to play the game, I think that this is going to be amazing. It's going to be free. I think
it's just like I was able to play Path of Exile without spending a penny and get the full experience. You know what I mean? And it was fine. And I chose to buy some tabs and things like that because I wanted the little convenience, right? And I think that's an acceptable experience. And I think with Immortal, I feel like you're going to get similar to the same. You can play and experience the game for what it is for free. The question is, are they going to let you purchase the gear or things that will get you the gear faster? Is it a pay to progress system similar to Lost Ark? Because I kind of feel like this is teetering on the Lost Ark venue, where it's like, you can do these raids and get items 3 times a week, but if you pay us money, we'll let you do it 6, 7, 8 times a day, or whatever the case is, And it's like that's you're not directly purchasing items, but you're purchasing more chances to get items, and that feels bad. So but it didn't deter me from playing Lost Ark either, though. Like I played Lost Ark. I didn't pay them any money, and it was a really fun experience. Like I enjoyed the shit out of the game. Like I loved it. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to see. How did you feel about the Battle Pass? The Battle Pass looked very lucrative for people that went with the money route too, and we couldn't even see what all the rewards were from when at least when I looked.
Yeah.
So
the Battle Pass is big. It gives you like more crafting mats, and that's pretty huge. It's going to help you progress faster. But again, I would. Oh, and you can actually unlock tiers of the Battle Pass with the same currency you can buy the legendary crest with. So not only will you be able to buy the Battle Pass with real money, but you can buy the currency and unlock tiers of your Battle Pass like instantly, which would be crazy progression.
They do that crap in Fortnite, man. And it blows my mind. Apex does it, Destiny does it, all these things do it. And to me, I don't know. It blows my mind. And the reason is like I get to experience this from the generation that's grown up always with it. So I think part of it is that us as boomers, the boomers that we are, we grew up in a generation where we had Nintendo and maybe some of us even Atari. You bought your console, you bought the game, and that was the game. Like you didn't ever have to purchase anything else to play it. Games aren't that way anymore. They're now live services that are constantly updated and constantly evolving, I feel like. But my kids have grown up in this microtransaction game, and it doesn't bother them. Like it doesn't. My son wanted the Fortnite Battle Pass, and he gets it every season because he plays the crap out of the game, and he got it, and it's cool. And this season was Mandalorian skin at level 1 of the Battle Pass. You get the base skin from what Mando looked like on the first episode with the crappy armor. Level 100 is the Mandalorian with the full, whatever that vibranium armor is. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
But with his silver suit that looks really badass, right? And so my son wants this level 100 skin, and he's like, "Dad, can I spend my money to buy battle pass tiers?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not." You know what I mean? Like, absolutely not. And, like, usually with his money, I let him spend it on anything that he wants. You know what I mean? I'm like, "If it's your money, you earned it, you can spend it on anything you want." But I just refuse to let him do it. I'm like, "I'm not like, you can earn it in game." You know what I mean? Like, you have to play the game and earn the stuff. And, he still doesn't have it. He's still working on it. It's, like, a hell of a grind apparently this season, but it's but he would do it. And so there are definitely people out there that would do this. They would buy the battle
Oh
pass, and
yeah.
they would spend money to buy the entire battle pass and not actually unlock it with experience in playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're cool with that. Like, that's fine with them, and it blows my mind, but, um, that's just the way it is.
Sure.
So that's why I think the pay to win system from a competitive standpoint is impossible to balance. You can't balance that because there are people out there that have FU money that can afford to just be like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna dump $2,000 in this
It's
game."
crap. It's literally crap.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is, but it's just like how do you compete with that? Like,
You
unless you're
don't.
spending $2,000, you can't. And so then to me, that's a turn off. That's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm done. I'm gonna go play something else that the skill makes me competitive, not my wallet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's a very fine line that we don't know all the answers to yet,
Right.
but I feel like that's going to be really hard for them to balance with it being a free to play game unless they completely go the convenience and cosmetic route, and it doesn't look like they're doing that. It
Right.
looks like there is going to be some power to be had from money. So,
But like again, if we throw all that out the window, right? If we throw
okay.
the whole competitive aspect of the game out the window, I do think it's a good game. And
I do too. Yeah.
I think that one of the questions that was asked on the AMA is, are there going to be new zones? And they said like we're planning on more basically of everything: new zones, new dungeons, more legendary items, quest lines, new classes. None of it's going to cost any money. So
yeah, they're giving away a crap ton of content for free, which is nutty. You know, like there's so much money invested in that. Like just from a technical aspect, like I was saying earlier in the podcast, it's by far one of the most, if not the most visual stunning mobile game I've played. The voice acting is on par with Diablo 3 or any other, Blizzard game. Like the voice acting is top tier. Um, they have some cinematics in it. They have storytelling. I mean, it's got like everything that you would expect in a full-fledged game. And those things aren't cheap, man. They're paying voice actors. They're paying devs to develop the game. They're paying graphic artists to design monsters and draw the concept art and to animate. And it's like this is not just free shit that they're giving away.
right.
It's expensive. And so there's gonna have to be some money made somehow, some way to keep it going. So
Yep.
I really hope that they can find a really nice monetization scheme that supports the game because it's a fun game and the experience I had was really good. And like it's unprecedented, I think, the standard that they're setting for a mobile game. It's going to be a phenomenal AAA mobile game title,
Yeah, and
So.
I've been saying, so to me, like, is it the best ARPG I've ever played? Absolutely not. Right? To me, it doesn't hold a candle to Diablo 3. It doesn't hold a candle to Path of Exile or Grim Dawn or some of the top tier stuff, Lost Ark. But like, it's better than isometric ARPGs that I played on PC, like Warhammer Chaos Bane.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That game was garbage compared to this. So I think that, and then this is a mobile game at the end of the day. So like that speaks volumes. I also say that like from a performance perspective, like I haven't crashed a single time in like 40 plus hours of gameplay, which no game can lay claim to in the current year. Like I crash on everything with the most up-to-date, gaming PC you could possibly imagine. That's amazing that that's even a thing. Which is nutty.
I mean, I crash more on Diablo 3 than I do on.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Without
Like, it's
question.
crazy. Yeah. So latency felt very good too. Which was weird. I was kind of like, how? I mean, of course, I'm on home Wi-Fi stuff. It'd be interesting to play on cellular service as I'm driving in a car. Not while I'm driving, but as I'm riding in a car.
Yeah.
And see how it feels. But you know, for my interest would be in commutes, like people that ride the bus or ride a train or, you know, whatever, commute to work every day or have these long commutes. That'd be cool. People that are stuck at work all day with, you know, downtime to play games. I mean, I think this is going to be an experience for those people. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So
I would play it on the
get
flight.
off Immortal. What are you checking right now?
I'm not checking anything.
You're looking at your phone.
I am looking at my phone. Yes.
He's playing the damn game right now.
You think I play with one hand? I wish.
Maybe.
No.
Be that good?
No. Absolutely not.
You know what? I will say though, I hate streaming it on my phone. I absolutely hate it because I'm afraid I'm gonna get doxxed. I get phone calls and text messages and shit all the time, dude. And like I turn my notifications off and I put it in silent and I change the setting that's supposedly like so it doesn't show you them when you're playing, but like I'm still nervous, you know, that I'm gonna get like a text or I thought about texting you actually while you were playing. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, wait, what if he's got my fucking actual name saved in there, not, you know, PChild or whatever.
I do, I think.
So I didn't do it. I'm like, shit, I'm gonna dox myself, man. So I thought about it though. I thought about texting you some funny shit. But it's just like, yeah, man, I hate that. So I don't know. I wish that there was a way to like have profiles set up on your phone where I could just like make a streamer profile and log into it and it doesn't have my fucking email and my, you know, my contacts and stuff in there. So
that's true too, because I've been playing on airplane mode, but like that also kind of sucks because like what if Lindsay actually needed me, you know, like and I'm playing on my phone. So
well, still in airplane mode, if I text you, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get an iMessage through data.
Right. Yeah, but you can turn that off. You can turn that off.
Can you? Yeah. It's just like so. Like airplane mode doesn't fix the issue. I don't feel like at all.
No,
you know.
I was getting work messages, you know, while streaming. I was like, God, damn, it sucks.
Yeah, man. It's like I'm gonna get a call from somebody, and you know, it's like go in and edit my close contacts that call me regularly, change their names and shit. Yeah. It's like so, but that's a streamer problem. That's not a normal people problem. But it does suck though. Yeah. They're like I don't know, man. And this is more of an Apple problem. Maybe Samsung has ways to address this. I don't know. I don't have a Samsung device, but yeah, I mean, hopefully that there's ways we can figure out stuff for that. So
itemization, have you seen kind of how that's looking? Or
a little bit? Not, I mean, I haven't got to deep dive into it, but a little bit. So what has been your experience so far? How is the end game that you've experienced so far looking? Is it full legendary in every slot, or I mean, it seems to be that was the case from what I've seen and experienced. But
yeah, so your primary 6 armor pieces, it will definitely be you want to get a legendary every slot. It seems like about 50-50, right? Like 50% of the legendaries have been like, well, okay, that's cool, and 50% have been like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Which is still probably a better ratio than Diablo 3, especially vanilla Diablo 3, right? Like there were so many bad legendaries.
Right. There still are so many.
Yeah, still true. But yeah, so you and the other thing that was kind of refreshing is that like they're so rare. Like legendaries are so rare. And so like getting one is still like it's exciting because you're like, oh, this could actually be a potential upgrade, and they're so rare and they all roll differently.
That feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, like it's such a struggle to like, do you want rarity or do you want to actually get stuff? Like, because then you just spend, because like I feel like I'm going through this. So we went through this in vanilla D3 where legendaries didn't exist, and then they buffed them and buffed them and buffed them, and then it was really cool when they buffed them. They're like, yes, you know, we got stuff, we got juice. And then now it's to the point where it's like, okay, now, so then they added primals because legendaries were so common. And now when you get a primal, it feels good, but then it's usually shitty. So it feels bad at the same time. And it's like, okay, so then I'm going to relate this to WoW. WoW Shadowlands right now has very low item drops. Like item is hard to get your hands on items in WoW these days, comparatively to what it has been. And for me personally, like I spent 8 hours doing Mythic Plus the other day, and I got 2 pieces of loot. That's it. Like in BFA, I would have had like a full character geared out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In an 8-hour session. And so I don't feel like that was valuable reward for the time I invested in that. 8 hours for 2 pieces of loot that were like 6 item levels higher was not worth my time. I was like, I should have spent that time doing something else. Is the way I felt when I was done. And I don't mean like something else in the game. I mean like something else, period. Like I should have not been playing the game and done something completely different. And I'm kind of scared that the legendaries seem rare and it seems exciting when you get one, but as a mobile game where you're probably just going to pick it up for shorter periods of time than long ass play sessions, is that going to hold up? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it does. I think that it's a kind of a positive thing to have that chase, right? Like the progression in Diablo 3 is instant. So it'd actually be good to have a much slower progression. I did like the rate at which you'd find items while you're leveling up and for a while in the end game. And I didn't get full legendary until yesterday, and I played 11-hour days since it came out on Thursday. So I think that that's a good system. And I still don't have a legendary slot that I would want. Like I'm still wearing 2 that I'm like, ugh, it doesn't work for my build whatsoever, and I don't like them, but they're legendary and they have better stats.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of interesting thing about the secondary armor slots is that they're all rares, right? And so you're constantly potentially finding upgrades for those, even if you have, like, say, the best chest piece and it rolled strength or something like that. And so that's definitely been interesting. And you can always, the cool thing, at least at first for a while, is that you break down everything you find, right? And everything you find is useful because, like, people are always like, oh, you're finding tons of whites. Like that, like the loot sucks in this game. But you can break down all those whites and upgrade your other stuff, which is I'm okay with. If I think for a mobile game especially, that's probably a pretty decent system to kind of constantly progress your gear, and so nothing's ever bad, so you never want to stop picking things up. I think that's a positive thing. However, we've kind of reached the point where we're struggling to upgrade our gear because now it's requiring like more dust, and dust only comes from like salvaging rare or better items, and they're just so rare that I'm like sitting on like 1,500 reusable parts, which would be poggers for a brand new character. Now it's just like it's tough, so I'm like playing all night to do one
mats
upgrade.
Shared between characters? No. I haven't made an alt yet.
They're not. The only thing that's shared between characters is Paragon right now, and I guess the battle pass.
Can you stash? I know you have a stash.
Yeah,
can you stash
share.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. They also said in the AMA, no hardcore is coming, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's mobile. That makes sense, I think.
There also won't be transmog. They did say that there will be full transmog sets purchasable.
Okay. Makes sense.
Which is an acceptable microtransaction to me instead of this other stuff.
That is to me too. It sucks that it's not in the game for base stuff, that it's only a money thing, but it's okay. Like, they got to make money. I get it.
Sure.
So that's acceptable. Like, this goes back to what would I like? Everything to be free absolutely forever. But of course, they have to make money. So, okay, I'm with it.
Right. And so you get the itemization that you grind. You've got the legendary gems you grind up and slot into your gear. You've got charms, which are basically like +1 skill charms. That system is, I still don't quite understand it, but basically you get a charm that has like +1 Wrath of Berserker, right? Which is good. I don't know how good it is, but it's good. And then you like spend some mats and you can do up to 5 times you roll like another skill on it. But it's all classes. So I have right now the charm I'm wearing has like +1 to 1 barb skill, and then it's like +2 to wizard skills, and then 1 to monk, and blah blah blah. And I guess once they hit rank 5, you can break them down and like potentially absorb one of the skills that you want onto another charm. But I still don't quite understand the system, to be honest. So it seemed like basically you'd be like, eventually you'd make like another charm, and it'd have like maybe 2 barb skills on it, and you make another charm and it's got like maybe 3, and so you like keep grinding till you get what you want. I don't know. But
so maybe that's part of the end game chase maybe that's part of the end game craft chase is to try to make that perfect charm, And
then in the AMA, you kind of hinted at like there will be more end game things to do with your gear, which is good. I think that there needs to be more. I do think there also needs to be more daily stuff. But this is also, I think, you know, a lot of my opinions of the game are maybe a little unfair because one, I'm not a mobile gamer. And I don't think that the game is being designed for someone that plays 11 hours a day. I think it's being designed for someone who's, you know, like you said, like on the commute to work, on the commute home from work. You know, that's who it's made for.
You hate your coworkers and you eat lunch at your desk every day. So you know, you play some Diablo Immortal. You know, that's the balance that we have to find. And that's why when I'm giving my opinion, like I don't ever want to sound negative because honestly, man, most of my opinion of the game is pretty positive so far. I just think I have to keep reminding myself and things is that this is not a PC game. This is a mobile game. And that's where the standard should be set. It's not fair to compare this to, you know, Path of Exile, for example, because it's not a PC
and that's
game.
Where I struggle with too, because like I have all this feedback to give on how to make this a better Diablo game. I don't have any feedback on like obviously any of that affecting how good of a mobile game it is.
Right. Yeah, and the audience that this game is going to tailor to, like mobile games are super popular and there's, you know, make tons of money. Like Candy Crush makes so much money, right?
Yeah.
But Candy Crush targets soccer moms who are sitting at their kids' practice. And I don't think those moms are going to be throwing Diablo Immortal on their phones. So the audience is weird to me with this because I feel like it's targeting PC gamers. And it's like, hey, PC gamers, you need a mobile game to play when you're on the run? Diablo Immortal is your game. And I kind of feel like that to me, that's like the audience that it should hit. But I don't have the inside data they have. But I do think that the more that they can get it to emulate a PC game, like if we can get really close to a PC game, even though it's mobile, I think that's what's going to bridge that gap. But it's pretty interesting. Like they've already surpassed. If you would have asked me my expectations for the game on BlizzCon 2018 when we saw that announcement, there's no fucking way I would have thought the game would be as good as it is now. I would have been like, nope, this isn't. There's no way they're going to even hit this level right now, and they did. Like this is. I remember thinking when I played it at BlizzCons, both 18 and 19, that it was a lot of fun, and I think that this has reinforced that this is a good mobile game. So, well, the monetization thing's a little scary. I think that could turn me off if it's pay to win, and I see people running around fully decked out. That's the biggest turn off to me in almost any game. And my experience, and that's even true on console. Like I play NBA 2K with my son. We like to go in and we go into the park in NBA 2K, and it's like day 2 of the game, right? And we're like level 65. It's like they start off like 60, you can go up to 100. We're like 65, grinding it up, and then a dude that's 99 runs by.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? Like he bought it. He spent fucking $600 and bought it. Like it's crazy expensive, but you can do it. And it's just like, man, like that's so stupid. Like it you know, I still play it, but I'm like, that's so stupid. And it deters me. It keeps me from wanting to play.
Yeah.
So.
And I gotta wonder too, like the mentality of, you know, like the Crip who you know, is rank 1 in a mobile game and he's spent thousands and thousands of dollars. Do you feel like that same level of reward? It's kind of like the bots, right? The bots.
Yeah. Do you cheat it? Like, do you feel like you cheated it a little bit?
Do you feel like if you're a bot, you know, you bought it all these hours and you're rank 1, you're like, I'm rank 1 in Diablo 3, but you didn't really truly earn it.
Yeah.
But
you bought it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I see, but it's kind of like, maybe. So the only thing I can think about is like, to me, so I used to be into cars quite a bit, and I'm not as much as I used to be, but I have a Z06. I have a relatively fast car that I've done a little work to. And so I have some car buddies that also have Mustangs and Corvettes that are like stupid fast, 1,000 horsepower cars. And it's like some of these guys just bought it. They just literally went and found a guy with a super nice car, and they're like, hey, I'll buy your super nice car. And they bought it. They don't understand how any of the shit under the hood works. They just press the gas pedal and they go really fast. And then some of the guys actually did the wrench work and, you know, installed turbos or the nitros or alcohol, whatever they're running. And they did it the work themselves. So I think it's kind of a thing. When you win the race, if you bought the car, does that take away? Or if you actually did the mechanic work? I think if you built the car yourself and turned the wrench, you get more sense of pride out of it, right? You're like, hell yeah, dude. But if you bought the car and you win the race, you're still like, hell yeah, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got you. So,
but like,
I don't know, man.
Building the car yourself is like, I don't know. It's not really a part of, like, if you're a professional NASCAR racer, it's not like
it's
on
not
you.
part of that. Like,
right.
You have the mechanics that do that. I mean, I think that those guys definitely help and like give input, but I definitely know people that have 9-second cars that don't know how to turn a wrench. They just paid some dude, $70,000 for the car. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, you bought a really fast car and you haven't wrecked it yet.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I don't know, man.
I will say, okay, so I think both of our opinions. It's a pretty good game. If you ask me, my entire review would be basically, it's a good game.
Yep.
I probably won't play it if the pay to win goes forward. I will probably play the Necro and just like play through it and see what the things do, and I would probably walk away and not look back. I think that it's unfortunate because I think that a lot of the hardcore Diablo community will look at this as kind of a meme if the pay to win stuff goes forward, which is unfortunate because I do think that a lot of work went into this and that it's pretty good. But the one thing that I actually would kind of negatively say about this, and I know you and I are going to see eye to eye on this.
Okay.
Is the most pog thing at BlizzCon 2018, and you even went as far to ask about it in 2019, was the skill interaction stuff that Diablo Immortal had shown. Yeah. Like you could shoot your frozen thing into your crystal and it would do the things, and the monk could kick off the wall, and we're like, wow, like skills have interactivity with each other and skills have interactivity with the environment. That is so amazing. What a cool concept.
Right.
Nothing else happened on that front. The same skills that we saw in the demo at BlizzCon 2018 are the same skills that have interaction with the world environments. It's like one per class, maybe.
Yeah.
And so that was a massive disappointment.
Hopefully they'll iterate on that a little bit. But I agree. I think that there has to be rewards to get So multiplayer is rewarding for Blizzard because if you have buddies that play the game, they're going to be wanting to spend money on the game. So if I like the game and I'm like, Fluff, you got to come check out DI. It's amazing. Check out Mortal. Come play with me. And you play it and it's amazing, then that's cool. And if they can incentivize us to play together, then that's two people they're hooking into the game, and we're recruitment for them. We are their marketing team inadvertently. And so the way that you incentivize multiplayer is you have activities that require more than one person, which some people hate that. They want to play solo all the time, always, right? Or you incentivize experience like Diablo 3 did. Hey, we're going to give you an XP buff and we're going to give you all these buffs. That's kind of just like in the background happening. You're not really doing it. But I think one of the coolest ways to do that is synergies between classes. If I know that I'm playing a wizard and you're playing a barb, and I can throw a brick down in the middle of the screen and you go whirlwind it and it shatters it and like fucks everything up on the screen, then that's going to incentivize me to grab you and be like, yo, Fluff, let's go kick some ass together. And you're like, yeah, hell yeah, dude. And then on top of that, the gameplay's fun. I'm like, yo, brick in the middle. And you're like, got it. Boom. And you just smash that shit. You seismic slam it or whatever. So like, I think that's the biggest payout that they can do. And it benefits both the player and the game because we're marketing for them to get more people to play, and they're incentivizing us to play with groups of people. Yeah. So, hopefully they double down on that, especially if DI doesn't do it, which I hope they will. But if they don't do it, then Diablo 4 needs to have some crazy like class combos that are just nutty. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
But I agree with you on that front. I think my overall review of the game, opinion on the game so far from what I've played, is it's a fun game. I enjoyed it. Ultimately, my biggest critic of the game is the hardware that it's played on. I don't like playing on virtual buttons on a mobile phone. I just don't enjoy that experience. I want a controller in my hand, and I want to play it on a big screen. And so my iPads can't play it, which is a super negative. I hope that they can make some super shitty graphic settings so I could at least see what it would play like on my iPads, my iPad mini, so a larger screen. Or, goddamn, this thing would be phenomenal on Switch. I said earlier we'd talk about it on Switch. Like, if they ported this to Switch,
nutty.
It would slay. It would be good, like so good. Like I don't know how hard it would be to port to Switch, but damn, dude, it would probably be better than Diablo 3 on Switch. You know what I mean? Like I really do feel that way.
Yeah, I think their general strategy though is like obviously not multi-platform. They want to drive traffic basically to it just being a phone game and everyone's on the same platform. And
I guess, man. I mean, dude, if they put listen, Wyatt, man, put it on the Switch, dude. Like pull some strings, talk to some people, make it happen. I would, if this were on Switch, I would play way more than I do now. I can tell you right now, I play more than I do now. I just dislike virtual buttons and I dislike having to hold my phone. So at least getting controller support when the game actually retail releases, when the retail's out, and if it has controller support and it's, you know, doable, then that would be a huge plus to me. Then I can just screen mirror to my monitor and basically turn my phone into a console at that point, which is what they should just port it to console in the first place and then be done with it. People could buy, I mean, I don't know, man. This goes to the whole debate where I don't want to be trapped in my phone, and that's what this is. Yep. You know, and it is what it is. This goes back to your question: is it going to be on PC? Like I'm going to BlueStacks this shit. Like I'm telling you, when it comes out, I'm not going to play on my phone. I'm going to either get it to run on BlueStacks or I'm going to get some kind of device where I can mirror it and play it on my monitor. You know, so
yep, same.
That's the only drawback, and it's not a problem with the game. It's a problem with the hardware the game is played on. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Is there anything else that we didn't cover about Immortal? I mean, there's more.
I almost feel bad too because I almost feel like this. And it's one of the reasons I'm playing so much. I feel like this is like Diablo Immortal in its purest form because the cash shop's disabled right now.
Yeah.
So it's actually really fun to, you know, try to hold rank 1 and to do the things to get there. And I feel bad almost for being able to play it in this form of the game. And I think that this could be maybe the most fun it's ever going to be. Who knows? But yeah, it's still good. Overall, it's good. But yeah, the pay to win is so concerning. Yeah. But we're not mobile gamers, so like we really are just the worst people.
We're not the audience, right? Yeah, we're not the audience. So the only if we're talking about feedback from a gameplay perspective, it's interesting, and I really enjoyed the time I spent in it. We don't have the true end game yet, so I don't know if it's something I'm going to play a lot. I will say if I'm forced to play it on my phone all the time, that's going to severely limit the amount I want to play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me personally, because I'm not, I have fucking, dude, I got a PC next to me that's worth $4,000. You know what I mean? Like I got a PlayStation 5 and a PS4 Pro and the Xbox, and like I have everything, you know? So it's like, of all the devices in my house, that's the last one I want to game on. And it's from a hardware standpoint, it's the one I don't want to hold. And this goes back to the debate from 2018.
Right.
It's a fun game, but if I can't figure out a way to make it work on at least a controller, then that sucks for me. Like, you know, and maybe that's just a PChild problem, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of people like it, but
totally.
I don't want that fucking cord. Like, listen, I was looking for a dent in my finger right here. From that cord sitting there all night, dude. Do you have one right now?
No, I was hoping I have like a red mark because I've had it there for like days, right?
It was a little red after my session. I mean, it went away after 5 minutes, but I'm just like, it's not comfortable, man. And I got thumb cramps. My right thumb, like, listen, from doing this, holding the phone, right thumb, just click, 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 click. My thumb right here was sore. Like the tendon that goes right here was sore. I'm like, what is this, man?
My body is hurt after every stream. Like my elbows, like I don't do this a lot, you know? So like the elbows, it's like from resting on the hard surface of my desk, like my neck looking down, and the shoulders are really sore because my neck's always in this position of being down, and my fingers are super cramped because, you know, I'm holding an iPhone 11.
Yep.
So it's, yeah, man, I feel you. I don't think that mobile game prevents good posture as a streamer.
Honestly. Yeah, we gotta figure out controller support for this bad boy, and then we're talking. Now we're looking, we're looking better. It's more in the realm of possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, final thoughts. I think it's cool. If it does hit an open beta at some point, anybody that's listening to the podcast, you should 100% try it out with an open mind and not go in with this negativity that surrounds the game because of the unfortunate announcement that happened. And I think the announcement has caused so much problems for this game and ultimately will probably hold it back eventually. But we were hyped up for a D4 announcement and we got a mobile game and we got pissed off and everybody got pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's not what we wanted. But ultimately, if you play it, you're going to be like, hey man, this isn't too bad.
Right.
This is a fun experience.
Yeah. And we've had hundreds of people in chat, playing the past 4 days. And one of those days we asked, like, if this game came out tomorrow, would you try it? And it was like 98% yes.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%. I think people should try it. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's free.
Not to. Yeah.
Right.
It's free too. I've gotten hate. I got a couple people hating in my stream on it. Like, there's no way I'd ever play it and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, well, that's cool, man. Like, it doesn't have to be for you.
Sure.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting called to shill, so.
Yeah.
Even though you legally can't do that, but whatever. Can't get paid for the game and not tell you guys I'm not getting paid to play the game.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I guess legally you don't have you
have
are supposed to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to. I don't know how they could prove it though. So we can't make you prove you didn't get paid. But
I think you would have to, like, if there's an actual court case, you'd have to submit financial records, and there would be, unless it was
somebody
like
would have to sue you. They'd be like, "Oh, Fluff is a legit deal. I'm suing him." Like, you'd have to be serious as hell. They'd have to go at you. But what else has gone on in the Diablo world? Think anything else? Diablo 3 still exists. It's still, servers are still up, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's Reddit posts of getting goblin packs. Oh, you know what there is? Diablo's on sale right now.
Oh, really?
So if you guys are interested or have a buddy or a friend, I think Diablo 3 is, I want to say 25% off or something. I don't know. It's definitely on sale on PC for sure. I don't know about console. So it's a good time to pick it up, and all the botters out there, I'm sure, are taking advantage of it.
Oh boy.
So what else do we have?
Path of Exile said that they're going to talk about their next expansion. I think it's like January 7th.
Yeah, people were something out.
Yeah, and which was interesting too is that they're sponsoring a lot of streamers to like tweet about it, which is new for Path of Exile.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so like Quinn.
Did they offer to pay you to tweet about
Riker and Blood? No, they didn't offer. I mean, they've already got me, like. So I'm sure which they already have Quinn too. So I guess I'm surprised there. Yeah. But Riker and Bloodshed, I guess, kind of makes sense because they don't really play the game that much. But yeah, so January 7th, 11 a.m. They're going to talk about the new league, and it looks, just from the 22-second clip, there's some really interesting stuff happening.
Heist looks so phenomenal from the trailer, but
that's very true. His Heist was like, oh my god, poggers.
Yeah, Heist looked super hype.
Whoa!
So what did they put? Is this this little video they put out?
Yeah. And at one point he brings up, I think this is your map device, and it's like a tree.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I don't know much about it. I'm sure there's like videos out there where people have broken it down and know a lot more than I do.
Do you have a gauge on how the community reaction was to Heist? Like, I know how you personally feel, but how does the community feel?
I think overall it was pretty, like, meh. I think most people felt that it was like a cool thing that they added, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to grind on and stuff. But the rewards are so good, and the fact that you could focus farm. If I needed more delve juice, I could go do heists that are going to give me delve juice, and I think that's what people liked. And I think that that's what this is. Maybe is this like you're gonna basically ascend your map device to maybe focus the content that you want. I think that's what might be what this is. So,
did they do a UI update in this patch?
No idea. We'll find out January 7th.
Immortal's UI is fucking destroying POE right now. So like POE, like you can't let a mobile game have a better UI than you. Okay, like
not wrong.
You gotta step it up. I don't understand, man. I talk about this a lot because I don't understand how hard it can be to make a new skin for the UI. Like, is it software developers that read this, man? Leave some comments if you've ever worked in UI. Like, what am I overlooking here? Like, I just don't know how they haven't done it. You know?
I don't either.
What else is going on? Is that it? Is that all the stuff? You played Wilson last week. You talked about that. Did you play any more of that?
No, I mean, I got kind of yanked off for this whole Immortal thing. So,
wow.
Do you have a brain of a 5-year-old sometimes? You know that?
No, I'm just saying, DI yanked you off. Oh, that's cool, man. It got me too, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, as far as other things, that's really I've just been doing the WoW grind and the stuff. I haven't played Cyberpunk since
I'm proud of you.
A while ago. I want to, but I just don't have time. And I don't have time, and WoW is so much better than I thought it was going to be. It's the crack. It's got me. It's got me good, man. It's ruining my life. So
I had to take a second mortgage on the house.
I did, man. It's ruining I dropped out of college, did all the things. So that's really it. We gonna jump into some Twitter questions. Do we have some Fluff hates PChild loves for the week? I didn't really think about a PChild loves thing. You got anything quick that comes to mind? If not, we'll just jump into questions. The hates part's so easy.
I guess Fluff hates, about once a minute someone comes in and makes like oh yeah, do this for $5.99, or makes like a mobile joke, or
yeah. It's kind of
it gets so old so fast, and then everyone, well, to be fair, in their defense, right? They think that they're being unique because they don't know, right?
Yeah. But see, here's the cool thing though: is Diablo Immortal has a chance to break the mold too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if the game is that good, and the game is good, I played the game. Game's good. If the game's that good, they can break out of the mold. Like, you need a AAA title to break out. I mean, maybe they don't want to.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like they want to, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, they could set the bar for.
They could do it, Wyatt. Get rid of the legendary crests and the cash shop.
They could do a thing, man.
Get it out of there.
So I hope they do. That's really it.
What about PChild loves?
PChild loves? Man, I love. Can I do it? Can I do a sarcastic loves?
Fine.
Something that I actually hate.
You're supposed to be the positive one here, and you are falling from grace.
I know, man. I feel like the ray tracing gimmick is the thing. So I got a new graphics card. I got the juiciest.
Right?
No. I got the big boy.
What, 3080 Ti?
No.
What's better than, I don't know.
The 90.
3090 is better than
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got the best of the best, right? And so, like, if I enable ray tracing and just for an example, like, I wanted to test Fortnite because my kids always want to play. I'm like, all right, let's see what this bad boy looks like. I go in, turn all the juice up, and it's like 30 frames. Like, why do developers think people want to play games at 30 frames?
Yikes.
It's not acceptable. That is not an acceptable frame rate in 2020. I don't care. Like, you can't market. Like, I could turn DLSS on and other things and get it acceptable. No ray tracing, like 380 frames. Turn on ray tracing. It's like ultra ray tracing. On a 3090, I was pulling 30 frames.
Yikes.
And I'm just like, this is not acceptable frame rate.
In Fortnite?
In Fortnite.
But the game, it'd be like having ray tracing in WoW. It doesn't make sense.
It actually looks really good. Like, I think they've done a lot of graphical updates to the game. It looked pretty cool. But it was still like, so it works pretty good in Cyberpunk, but I have to use DLSS, which is, dropping the rendering thing is technology to look at. But marketing's kind of crazy, man. And it's to me, maybe I have a skewed mindset, but to me, frame rate is the ultimate play. Like, if you play a game at 30 frames and then you play a game at 60 frames and then you play it at 144, Like when you play those steps, you're like, okay, 60 is the minimum bar that I want to play a game at. And if it's below that, like, dude, it sucks bad. And then if you play it at 144, like that's your standard at that point. You're like, okay, this feels really good. And then the jump from 144 up to like, 240 or whatever, it feels even better, but it's not like 144 is unacceptable to me when I play. It's like, okay, I'd rather have 240, but I can play 144.
Yeah.
So to be able to market games like, 4K ray tracing, blah, 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 blah. It's like, not if you're hitting 30 frames, man, don't market that. That's not playable. 8K at 30 frames is not playable. Like, I don't care what you're doing. So that's my loves. That's my sarcastic loves. I hate the marketing teams, man. They're goating, they're baiting people in.
Yeah, they would just do, win a free Diablo 3 Immortal on Switch if you take a picture of yourself playing.
Right.
Diablo Immortal on Switch.
Yeah, on Switch.
Easy.
That was the best one ever,
that
man.
Was maybe the best marketing play I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't even know I wonder who won that. Did they ever actually like announce a winner and tweet it out?
I have no idea.
That's funny. That poor guy was probably like, yay.
Cool.
Let's get into some Twitter questions, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. I closed it. Here it is. All right. So the first question comes from Eli Hannon. He says, how does Immortal feel compared to what you played at BlizzCon? Do you think it would be more fun if it were ported to PC?
To be honest, I it's kind of exactly what I expected. I guess I was maybe a bit more impressed with itemization, and I kind of expected it to be a bit maybe more mobile-y, and you just like power up. I don't know. It is kind of that in a sense, but it's maybe a bit more impressive than I expected. But it is pretty much in line with what I expected it to be. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it necessarily changed all that much from what we played. It was pretty smooth at both BlizzCons. Like, the experience was.
At BlizzCon 2019, the same level and same experience we had was actually in the demo or the alpha that we had. Like, I was like, oh, I remember this. This was the thing. We did play in 2019 on tablets.
Yep.
And I liked that experience.
Yeah, better.
The only issue that I had was, I guess they were wiping the tablets down every time, and so the screens were like smudgy. Super grippy. They were grippy. Like, mine was like really grippy, and so I'm trying to slide my thumb, and it wanted to like stick to the screen and not slide. I haven't had that problem too much with the phone. A little bit at first, I guess, but maybe, I don't know. I ended up taking the case off my phone when I was playing Immortal 2. Did you do that?
No, I didn't even think about that.
I took the case, and here's the reason. Like, I can see I have a very minimal case. Like, I'll hold it up, and you guys, it's just a little case. The screen, this is the actual screen of my phone. There's no protector or film or anything on there. But it has this little lip on the edge, and it kind of makes the bottom swiping a little more difficult. So I ended up popping the case all the way off and just using the phone in its natural oil, its birthday suit. And I ended up liking that a little bit more, so but yep, I like the tablet feel. But as far as what at BlizzCon, it's just a expanded version of what we did. Are you taking your case off right now?
No, actually, I was noticing that, like, the logo on the back of my phone, I think because my phone's getting hot, it's like, it's kind of bubbling a little bit.
My phone didn't get that hot, but again, I took the case off. The case is an insulator.
Yeah, true.
So I took the case off too. Yeah, it's an expanded BlizzCon experience. It's just more of what we had. So I'm sure they've improved a lot. There was no loot at BlizzCon, so that was kind of cool. I guess to kind of see the inventory. How that loot works. Yeah. So that's definitely a big thing.
And part
I think it would be more fun if it was ported to PC. Absolutely, man.
Who would say no to that?
110%. Yeah, like 110%. It would be amazing. Like, it would. I can't. Amazing is kind of a hard word, but I would definitely play the crap out of it until we got to end game and found if we could grind it or not grind it.
Yep.
But I would definitely play through the campaign on multiple characters if it were a PC game for sure.
Oh my god, that's way better. I should have taken my case off a long time ago.
Big boy strats. I got you, Fluff.
Thanks.
I got you, dude. Maester Mages says, in D4, should they design support items or let supports appear naturally, aka people come up with them? Should they support the trifecta, the Holy Trinity?
I mean, I'd rather them do that than do like what we had in D3, where classes just end up being support
I say no support personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know that Blizzard will ever get away from like accidentally making support classes though.
I think they should break it when they're discovered. I actively think they should go out of their way to neuter support classes. And if there are support builds, they need to fundamentally figure out ways to break them so they don't work, because it pigeonholes somebody into playing a support. Nobody really wants to play a support. I mean, I know there's a couple guys that'd be like, I love support. I know. I get it. But nobody really wants to play support in the end game beacon. Like, you know, you play D3, you play support, you run the Z Monk, you run your Z Necro, whatever. But at the end of the day, ultimately, you're trying to gear up to do damage. You're not, your end game goal isn't like, man, I can't wait to augment my Z Monk. You know, like that's not what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I say get rid of it, let everybody do damage.
Yeah. I'm fine with characters that are more supporty. You know, like maybe like, oh, there's like a Frost Mage in your group that's like freezing stuff or whatever.
CC and stuff. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
But
like
they're doing damage.
Like having a Z Monk that's just like all he's doing is spamming heals.
Right.
It's like, no, man. Like if you're gonna go that route, then you have to completely support it 100. You can't have it be accidental. You have to support it. You have to build sets around it. Give your character, like, you're basically making healers in the game. Like, okay, design healers.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Nudge Doink, lol, that's his name, says, what's the worst movie you've ever seen in your life? Ever? Starship Troopers. I'm sure I've seen worse than that though, but that's the only one I've walked out of the movie theater. Have you walked out of the movie theater before?
Yeah.
Like, because the movie was so bad?
Black Dahlia was the first movie I ever walked out on.
I don't think I've seen that either.
I
walked out of Starship Troopers, man. I was just like, what? I don't know.
There's like boobs in Starship Troopers, isn't there?
Is there? I don't know. See, the problem, like,
we were teenagers when that movie came out, and you had that big of taste.
I think I might have left because it was like we told the parents we were going to the movies, and then if we left the movie early, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Wow, so, dude.
Maybe that was why I thought the movie sucked so bad, but that's the only, I think to this day that might be the only movie I've gotten up and walked out of the movie theater in the middle of. What else do we have? Let's see. Kevix says, what dead game franchise would you like to see return?
We already asked this one, I think.
Have we?
Because I said Halo. Like, I want Halo to kind of return to the top of the food chain in the FPS genre.
We could have had these. Or had that one. For me,
Diablo?
Can we say Diablo without being toxic? I don't want to be toxic here. I was hoping Fluff would say it so I didn't have to be toxic. You're the toxic one, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I want Diablo to return. I want it to be amazing, and I want to think about it 24/7 and log in and play it 24/7. Like, I'm super excited for Diablo 4. I really am. Like, I think it's so much hope is riding on that game for me. You know what I mean? I don't even know how to describe, because it's like from a career and streaming standpoint, from a fun player standpoint, from a wanting to be able to log in and play it standpoint, just like I want it to consume my gaming time. Yep. So that's why I'm so invested in it. But so Diablo 4 in that sense, but for something else though, I don't know because I'm going to take the word dead out. I'm just going to say, what would I like to see in the future? I'm really excited for the next Final Fantasy game. And I know you're going to buy it.
Game?
Yeah, dude. I want to see where they're taking the story. Like, they've deviated the story so much at this point.
Let's watch YouTube videos. Skip all that.
You just come watch me play it. So it better come out on next gen. So I'm assuming it is, right? It's got
no idea.
Better be 60 frames, dude. If it's just 30 frames, I swear. That's the biggest beef with Final Fantasy VII to me, is it was 30 frames the whole time. I couldn't take it. Helatonin says, do you have any interesting Christmas traditions that you follow?
I would say they're interesting. We always have like steak soup on
Steak soup?
Christmas Eve.
What is that?
Because there was a fancy restaurant in Kansas City once upon a time, and my grandmother on my dad's side was kind of like a well-respected, I don't know, secretary or accountant or something. And she asked this like really prestigious restaurant for the recipe, and then like one of the guys that she worked for like owned it, and he actually gave it to her or something like that. So it became like this big tradition to make that soup.
That dish.
That dish.
So wait, do you have access to this recipe?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we should start a steak soup restaurant in Kansas City.
Let me tell you something right now. It's okay. It's not like, oh my God.
Well, you're a rough critic.
Yeah,
man. You're
I am
hard
a food
to
critic
please,
for
dude.
sure.
You're hard to please, man.
I've had some insanely good food in my life.
What's the best food you've ever had?
Fuck.
Like, just give me like a top. It doesn't have to be these. Like, what's like the thing that comes to mind? You're like, oh my God.
I mean, I had a dish at one of the tastings we did once. It was like a quail egg, and it had like.
Lost me a quail egg. God damn, it sounds nasty. Keep going.
It was like a quail egg, and it had like.
What did they scramble
some
it?
kind
did
of
they fry it? Did they was it raw? Like, what do you mean a quail egg?
I'll get you a picture, maybe. It was insane. It was really, really good.
And it was good, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Okay. Interesting Christmas. I can't say it's like set in stone, but I try at least at some point before Christmas with the family. We watch Nightmare Before Christmas. That's like one of my favorite Christmas movies. So we'll throw Nightmare Before Christmas on. I usually watch that. Other than that, historically, it's been my wife and I wrap Christmas presents at 3 in the morning on Christmas. Like we stow them and hide them, and we'll go wrap Christmas presents right before
the
Christmas
Tim Burton
morning.
thing. Why?
What? I
didn't know what Nightmare Before Christmas was.
No, yeah, the Tim Burton movie, like the clay animation movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
I think forever
it's
ago.
Good, man. It's a good movie.
Okay.
And so I'm like, what are you Googling over there? And so it's really good. But regardless, so my wife and I wrap Christmas presents in the wee hours of the morning. And it's usually like super, like we dread it. We hate doing it, but when we do it, we have fun. You know, it's like one of those things where it's like, fuck, all right, kids are asleep. I'm done streaming, whatever. It's like 3 in the morning. I'm like, all right, let's wrap some presents. And I usually have to wake her up because she always falls asleep early. And then and we'll wrap presents all night. But this year we actually did it yesterday for the first time in like, I don't know, man, it's been like 10 years since we've wrapped them early, but the presents are under the tree. And I think it's because the kids are old enough now that they understand Santa's not real. You know what I mean? So before it was kind of like, oh, Santa brought the presents early, you know, lied. Now they're just like, you know, they even know what they're getting now, these little jerks. They're like, oh, I know what's in my box. I only asked for these things. It has to be this. So.
Do you think it's harder for kids to believe in Santa longer now than it was when we were kids?
Oh, yeah, dude. Because there's always that one, there's like, you know, it was like kindergarten and this kid's running around telling my kids that, you know, doesn't exist. It's not real because his parents are assholes or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my son comes home and I'm just like, no, man, that kid doesn't know what he's talking about. Mikey's an idiot. Don't listen to Mikey, you know? So,
yeah.
So, that's it, man. That is all the questions we had.
Easy.
If we don't see you guys, happy holidays before. Actually, we won't see you guys before the Christmases. Christmas is Friday. Fluff, you're pulling a calendar up.
I am.
What is it? It's fucking Fluff. It's Friday, dude.
Friday.
It's Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. So make sure you got Lindsay's gift all wrapped up.
We don't do gifts.
We better get her something, just a little something.
I get her trips.
Oh yeah. Well,
we're going somewhere for New Year's.
Just get her like a little chocolate bar and put a bow on it and be like, "Merry Christmas, baby." Yeah. Nothing. Not even.
Bah humbug.
Not even a Snickers, huh? Did she know that she was getting involved with Scrooge before? Like, you know?
Yep.
Okay. If you want to catch more of me, catch me at ThaPChild, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all of the places.
Yeah. I'm Lord_Fluffy. Double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you boys next week after Christmas.
Wait, hold on. What is okay, next week is the 29th. We're good. I was just making sure it wasn't like New Year's Eve or some shit.
Yeah. I get you.
29th.
Yeah.
One more in 2020.
The last one. Yeah, for this year.
That's it.
What a year.
The craziness, man.
All right. Peace out.
See ya.